We're both going to grab the keys from around our necks and open up the forbidden folder.
Ooh.
This morning's topic, serial killers. Yeah, this is the segment where we talk about all those taboo things. Stuff that's probably, not quite right for breakfast radio. But I tell you what, people are frothing serial killers at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it has to do with that Dharma show on Netflix. I watched it and thought, nah, not for me. And then I was seeing everyone talking about it and I was like, oh, I'm missing out. I better watch it.
So you finished it all the way through?
I finished it now, yeah.
I haven't watched it. Is it, what I understand it is, so obviously Dharma, real person.
Real person.
Real serial killer.
Yep.
And then this is like a...
It's like a dramatized.
It's not a it's not a documentary.
But like a lot of the things, like if you look up on YouTube or whatever, like there's the calls to the police from the neighbours and stuff like line up
real,
exactly.
That's the real call.
Yeah. And all the the testimonies that they had in court, they are like word for word.
Yeah, wow.
So it's pretty close to, and it's so like bamboozling how horrible the stuff. Like he was literally like a cannibal. This guy.
Yeah,
so he was eating people.
It's weird though because as humans, obviously all that stuff's so horrible, but then when it's in front of you, you can't really look away. Like, do you ever on TikTok? Do you ever get those murder calls where like someone's just murdered and then they play the 911 or 000 call?
You're not turning that off, are you?
No.
But yeah, there seems to be like a massive fascination at the moment, and it's not just this show. I mean, it's true crime podcasts have been the hottest thing since sliced bread for a long time.
Yep.
Really struggle to get our podcast numbers up when you're looking at just every Tom, Dick and Harry's doing a true crime. It's where the interest is for a lot of people. So we thought we'd speak to someone who's worked in this world, not a serial killer, someone, who's responsible for catching people who commit these sort of crimes. Behind one of Australia's favourite true crime podcasts and Australia's most celebrated homicide detectives, Garry Jubelin. Good morning. How are you?
Welcome, guys. Very good.
First question I've got, I mean, watching this show at the moment, are the days of serial killers over? Like, when you're watching that, you're like, surely you wouldn't be able to get away with killing 20 people these days because you just get caught way before that.
I think it's harder because people are more aware of serial killers, and in the past, our investigations used to work in silos, so we didn't communicate with other jurisdictions.
Yep.
I think now we're more aware of it, and the systems are in place to prevent it. But one thing I do know with the criminal mindset is that they once we get one step ahead, as in law enforcement, they come up with another way of avoiding detection. So, I'd say it's probably more difficult to get away with it as a serial killer, but I wouldn't suggest that it's not going to happen anymore.
Here's one for you, Garry. This is one we've been chatting about a little bit off air, but we've been talking about what do you believe makes someone a serial killer? Are they born with it, or do you think it's because of something that's happened to them? Like, are some people just born to be serial killers, or what do you think?
That nature-nurture question often arises. I think it's a combination. I've spoken to a neuroscience scientist from America, and James Fallon, and he did a study on the psychopaths, serial killers over there, and they had a certain brain pattern when he studied brain scans of the serial killers from United States.
Yeah.
But he also came to the conclusion, and I support this conclusion, they might be born with a predisposition for it, but it also takes an environment to create
to flip the switch sort of thing.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's that perfect storm that they get through. The one thing about serial killers, but because they get away with one murder, they're not the type. They haven't got horns coming out of their heads. So people often think they're going to stand out, but the reason they get away with it is because they actually blend into the environment.
Unsuspecting. Yeah. They say, sometimes actually very smart, like high IQs and whatnot, to be able to sort of keep getting away with it all. Who's, personally for you, I mean, you worked in this world for a long time, who's the worst person you've ever come face-to-face with, do you think?
Oh, there's some killers, and I don't want to put them in the sort of
that's fine
or whatever. But there's one particular person who was a pedophile and a murderer that showed absolutely no remorse whatsoever, and I felt I was staring into the eyes of pure evil there. Where I have been investigating matters of a serial nature, it's quite chilling the way that people get away with it and what motivates them to commit the crimes. So, Yeah, there's so many. When I say so many, we're fairly lucky in this country that we haven't got an abundance of serial killers. But New South Wales, the granny killer, John Wayne Glover, he was bad that operated around the North Shore, murdering old ladies, and of course our good friend Ivan Milat.
So, as someone who's worked in major crime and homicide, and you've seen a lot of horrible stuff and dealt with a lot of horrible things, do you watch, if this number one show at the moment on Netflix, Dharma, are you watching that, or you just don't want to deal with that?
It's funny you should say that, because I started watching the first 2 episodes, and I will see it through, but for whatever reason, I just felt I'd been looking at some evil type of stuff that I'd been researching prior to watching it, and I thought, I don't need this, and I put on some silly comedy or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
To change the tone. But but still, I will watch it. I'm fascinated. I just didn't have the energy for it, or just didn't have the right emotion to sit and watch it. He's a creepy dude.
Yeah, just chuck on Step Brothers and said, why? And you said that, like the fascination there. Why do you think it is? And obviously, you've been very successful. You've got a new book, Badness, out now. A lot of people listen to podcasts, myself included, Gary. Why is there such a fascination with this stuff these days?
I think it's partly why I enjoyed the police work I was doing too. We want to see what's behind the curtain.
Yeah.
People are curious by nature, so I think we want to find out. And I also strongly believe we all think we've got the detective in us. Everyone thinks they
can work it out.
Yeah, so we're a curious lot, but there certainly is an attraction to it. And I think it's just looking at a world that most people aren't exposed to.
Well, Garry Jubelin, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You mentioned you got 2 episodes in. Episode 3 is an absolute perler, so good luck with that one. I don't think you'll make it past the half-hour mark. That's just me.
Okay, something to look forward to.
Thank you very much, Garry. Do appreciate your time. People can grab your newest book as well, Badness. It's out now.